Well, top story in this most anticipated of electoral carnival's days of hectic campaigning for Phase 5 has come to an end now. The fate of candidates in over 121 parliamentary constituencies has been sealed. April 17th, which is Thursday, a total of 121 seats spread over 12 states will go to polls in Phase 5 of an election which is spread out on the course of 9 phases. What is in fact interesting, that over 279 candidates, as many as 16% of the total candidates in Phase 5 have declared criminal cases against them, and nearly 465 of these candidates are crorpatis. Headlines today brings you a ground report from our reporters in key battleground states right ahead of polling. We'll be cutting across, getting the latest mood on what my colleagues are picking up from ground zero. Would like to cut across Rohini Swami, my colleague, joining us from Bangalore. We also have Rohit, who's joining us from Bihar, and we have Kamlesh, who's joining us from Nanded, Maharashtra. I'd like to cut across to Rohini Swami first. Rohini, Bangalore South, a keenly watched constituency.
Absolutely, a star constituency of Karnataka for that matter. We have Nandan Nilekani on one side versus the 5-time sitting MP Anant Kumar, and that is literally going to be the mother of all battles because both of them campaigning really hard to seek as many votes as possible. We also have another star campaigner and star candidate V. Balkrishnan, who's also a former Infoscian but from Bangalore Central. So Bangalore City, which has 3 constituencies itself, seeing Sadanand Gowda also from Bangalore North, seeing a hectic campaigning happening from star candidates. But also if you see Karnataka as a whole in terms of the state, the BJP is going all out using the Modi factor, because in the previous elections BJP had won 18 seats in Karnataka. How many seats this time they will manage is the question, because they're trying to use the Modi factor. On the other hand, the Congress is saying that the Congress is the ruling party in the state as of now, and they are trying to consolidate the Ahinda votes or the votes of the various castes together using the various schemes that they're saying, upon be it the Anna Bhagya scheme, that is a rice scheme, or the Shira Bhagya scheme, which is the milk scheme. They're saying it is a state that will help you, the Congress government, and they're using that factor to gain votes as possible. Aam Aadmi Party has little influence in Karnataka for that matter, for the simple reason that they've not been able to connect with the ground like we've seen it happening in Delhi. And that is why it's a clear out and out Congress versus BJP and JDS factor in Karnataka, where we're seeing another star constituency of Chikbalapur, where Veerappa Moily fights H.D. Kumaraswamy. So very interesting in Karnataka for that matter.
Well, highly interesting there. The big question, can the BJP reclaim its lost citadel? We are going to come across to Rohini in just a short while and ask her exactly, the Congress should have been buoyed by the recent assembly election and the big win there, but that's not clearly happening. The mood quite dark in the Congress camp where Karnataka is concerned. I'm going to cut across to Rohini in a short while on that. But like to cut across to Rohit Singh, who's joining us from Patliputra at this point of time, where Lalu Prasad's daughter is contesting. Rohit, what are you picking up from there?
Well, Preeti, voting will take place at 7 constituencies in the 5th phase, but the biggest battle will be fought in Patliputra, because this is the seat from where Lalu's eldest daughter, Meesa Bharti, is making her political debut, and she is pitted against Ram Kripal Yadav. We all know that Ram Kripal Yadav has been a total loyalist of Lalu since ages, but just ahead of elections, he was denied a ticket from Patliputra, and that is when he switched sides, and now he is contesting on a BJP ticket from Patliputra. So that's the biggest battle to watch out for in the 5th phase, Meesa Bharti versus Ram Kripal Yadav. Apart from that, from Patna Sahib, Shatrughan Sinha is also trying his luck once again. He is the sitting MP from here, but it seems that there is not much competition for him, so he might just win from that seat. But all eyes will be on Patliputra because that's the prestige issue for Lalu Prasad Yadav.
Considering he's fought from that same seat earlier, isn't it, Rohit? And we're going to come across to you and actually discuss on what Lalu is doing behind the scenes to make sure that his daughter actually wins that seat, that constituency. Over to, at this point of time, let's cut across to my colleague Kamlesh, who's joining us from Nanded at this point of time. Kamlesh, quite interesting. The former Chief Minister of Maharashtra given a ticket from Nanded. What are you picking up?
Well, Preeti, the Congress had little choice than to field Ashok Chavan, given the fact that Marathwada has not been very good for Congress, particularly after the sudden death of its the tallest leader from Marathwada region, Vilasrao Deshmukh. And since now, if any other candidate would have been fielded from Nanded, given the fact that the BJP and Shiv Sena alliance is riding high on the Modi wave, there could have little that the Congress could have done to save its image and its seats from the Marathwada region. But Preeti, apart from Marathwada, there are several seats in Maharashtra. Several stalwarts from Maharashtra politics will be facing the polls on 19th. Sushil Kumar Shinde is contesting from Solapur. NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar's daughter Supriya Sule is contesting from Baramati. Gopinath Munde, BJP's deputy leader in the Lok Sabha, he will also be trying his luck from the Beed constituency. So big fight lined up on 17th. Future of Maharashtra stalwart. It's not only about these leaders and their party, but it will also decide the future course of Maharashtra's politics, because we just have the assembly elections coming in next 6 months.
Yes.
So very interesting and close eye. Maharashtra, not only Maharashtra politicians, but also others who are watching these fights very closely.
Well, you're right there. The most interesting of battles being played out in Maharashtra at this point of time. Nobody actually knows which way Maharashtra will go till that last vote is counted on the 16th of May. With that, cutting across to Indro, who's joining us from Kolkata at this point of time. Indrajit, it's over to you. What are you picking up?
Well, that's right. West Bengal is going to vote in its first phase on the 17th, Preeti, and it's going to be an interesting fight for North Bengal. Remember, Darjeeling has been one of the prime challenges of West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee when she took oath of office here in West Bengal in 2011. Darjeeling at that point in time was burning because of the agitation for a separate Gorkha land. However, Mamata Banerjee government claims that that has been one of her successes, that she has been able to solve that problem by bringing in the Gorkha Territorial Administration pact that was signed between the central government, the Darjeeling, Gorkha Janmukti Morcha and the West Bengal government. However, at this point in time, the BJP seems to be trying to woo the Gorkha Janmukti Morcha, and the Gorkha Janmukti Morcha is firmly backing the BJP, and therefore it's going to be a very interesting fight, because the Trinamool has fielded, star footballer Baichung Bhutia, who is from the hills, and they are trying to use that sentiment. However, the Gorkha Janmukti Morcha's firm backing to the BJP is once again throwing open its prospects, because that's the only seat that the BJP has won from West Bengal last time around.
Many star campaigners where Kolkata and West Bengal is concerned. We're going to come back to Indro and discuss all of that. But to give our viewers perspective on what the 17th of April will witness, well, that is the 5th phase of elections which will kick in. The curtains down today of hectic campaigning, days at end coming down today as India goes into the 5th phase, and polling will be on the 17th of April, where 121 seats spread over 12 states will go to polls on this particular phase on the 17th of April. What is in fact interesting that over 279 candidates, as many as 16% of the total candidates in phase 5 have declared criminal cases against them. 12 states, 121 seats. Trust headlines today to get you the ringside view of all the developments as India goes to poll in phase 5. Let me once again introduce you to our correspondents who've been tracking every detail, getting you the vantage position from ground zero. Rohit Singh joining us from Patliputra, Bihar. That is where Lalu's daughter is contesting. We also have Rohini Swami joining us from Bangalore. Kamlesh Sutar, Nanded, where Ashok Chavan, former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, contesting. And of course, Indrajit joining us from Kolkata, West Bengal. Would like to cut across to Rohini once again at this point of time. Rohini, one would have thought that the Congress would have been maybe basking in the honeymoon period of the assembly polls, the by-elections. But that clearly not the case. The big question now where Karnataka is concerned is, can BJP reclaim its lost citadel?
It's a very tough challenge, especially for the Congress, for the fact that one is that the ruling party and they have the government in the state as of now, but they are facing, it's a head-on fight with the BJP and the JDS for that matter. But more importantly, the Congress is trying very hard to consolidate their votes and the voters together, especially in Karnataka. Another point that is to be noted is the fact that if they get any less than around between the 10 and 12 seats that they projected, then Chief Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Siddaramaiah, may lose his chief ministership, and that's very important to know for the fact that the Congress, that is the kind of pressure that is put on the Congress, especially in Karnataka. And also the BJP is going all out. They're trying to reclaim, but they definitely the kind of work that they're doing, especially, is giving them the ground feel that they may not get the 18 seats they got last time. They may just get a much lesser, but they're trying to ride on the Modi factor as much. Also, what needs to be remembered is that the BJP brought back one of the leaders, Yediyurappa, into the party for the simple reason is they wanted to consolidate the Lingaya vote and bring him so that BJP tries to get as much as possible. So the question in Karnataka also is how much will the Yediyurappa factor also work for the BJP. So that is a kind of thing that is being looked into. The Congress definitely in for a tough fight, but the BJP also is looking at getting as much as possible.
Appreciate Bangalore Bureau Chief Rohini Swami getting us the very latest from Ground Zero, cutting across to Patliputra. Rohit Singh joining us from there. Rohit, Lalu's daughter contesting from Patliputra there, and word coming in that Lalu is doing what it takes, especially where the caste dynamics are concerned, to make sure that his daughter wins the seat, considering he's contested from the same seat before. It is now an ego issue where Lalu is concerned, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. Lalu contested from Patliputra in 2009 against Ranjan Yadav and he lost that election. And now this time he fielded his daughter Meesa Bharti, and it will not be wrong to say that Lalu in fact has pumped his entire machinery to ensure that Meesa Yadav wins from this seat, because as I've told you, this has become like a prestige issue for Lalu Prasad Yadav, because against Meesa is Lalu's one-time aide and also loyalist Ram Kripal Yadav, and many in the RJD also believe that Lalu has not been spending or campaigning a lot at other constituencies like Munger, Nalanda, and he's spending days and night across Patliputra. So it will be an interesting battle to see, and as I've told you, Lalu is leaving no stone unturned to ensure that Meesa Bharti emerges victorious in these elections.
All right, Rohit Singh would be reporting 6 a.m. live 17th April as India goes to polls, phase 5 cutting across. Kamlesh Sutar joining us from Nanded at this point of time. Kamlesh, you've been speaking to the voters. We've been, getting reports from you where you're directly interacting with the voters there. What is the impression? Will the other scam, will corruption actually hold fort when Maharashtra goes to polls, especially in Nanded, where the former Chief Minister of Maharashtra is contesting?
Well, Preeti, just a few hours before I spoke to Ashok Chavan, who was campaigning in the interiors of Nanded, and what Ashok Chavan believes, he says that Adarsh is a non-issue here. People do not will not be swayed by an issue that was only created by the media. But when on the ground we speak to people, it's not the Adarsh issue, but the kind of development work that is carried. I should also mention here that Marathwada region, in where Nanded comes, has been one of the worst affected areas during the recent spell of hailstorm, under which hectares of land was affected during the hailstorm. But no relief could reach to the farmers. Ashok Chavan's family has been in the power for last so many years. His father was also the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. He was also the Union Home Minister. Ashok Chavan has been the Chief Minister twice. But the kind of development that should have been here, that is what people are angry about. So it's going to be a tough battle for Ashok Chavan. Not a one-sided battle as it used to be earlier. He'll have to work it out, and we are seeing that Ashok Chavan is slogging it out, taking meetings, corner meetings, going home to home, door to door, so that he at least assures a decent victory here. But things are evenly poised at this point of time. The Adarsh issue, though Ashok Chavan believes and his party believes that's not an issue in Nanded, but it is going to certainly have its repercussions across Maharashtra and also in other parts of the country, which the BJP is trying to use against the Congress.
Appreciated, Kamlesh Sutar, getting us the latest ground report from Nanded, cutting across all the way to West Bengal, Kolkata, and Indrajit Kundu joining us from there. Indrajit, it does seem that the Congress does hope to retain its 6th Lok Sabha win where 2009 was concerned, doesn't it?
Well, that's right. The Congress this time is facing a very difficult challenge because of the infighting within the party. And at the same time, it took a lot of time for the Congress to come out with its final list of candidates to all the 42 seats here in West Bengal. It was the last party to come out with its list. The Pradesh Congress president's post has been changed. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, the stalwart from Murshidabad district, has been given charge. So the Congress is trying to revive itself, because this is for the first time that the Trinamool Congress has decided in its very existence that it will go all alone. So it's a four-pronged battle between the left, the Congress, the BJP, at the same time the Trinamool Congress, with many saying that the BJP is actually gaining a lot of momentum as far as West Bengal is concerned. So definite challenge for the Congress, and North Bengal, which is supposed to be a Congress stronghold and which is being threatened by the Trinamool Congress for the first time, it is going to be a huge challenge for the Congress to retain its vote share, especially in the North Bengal.
Appreciate you joining us. Well, with that, we're going to head into a quick break, but all four reporters there, Rohit Singh, Rohini Swami, Bureau Chief, Bangalore, Kamlesh Sutar joining us from Nanded, and Indrajit Kundu from Kolkata. Appreciate you joining us, and of course, they will be getting you the ringside view.